Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre. Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This time we're taking a look at the all-new Porsche Cayenne. Is it still the ultimate driver's SUV?
We also have Buick's striking new Envista and the 2024 Lexus NX.
Plus Mercedes-Maybach's Rolls-Royce rival and Jeep's promising new Avenger.
That's all coming up later in the show. Up first though, the news. The Honda Civic Type R has broken a lap record at the Nürburgring. The latest FL5 generation Type R has reclaimed the title of fastest front-driven car at the ring for Honda, after the Renault Megane RS Trophy R beat the old Civic's time. The old Type R set a time of 7 minutes and 48 seconds in 2017, before the Renault slashed 8 seconds from that in 2019. Technically, the Megane's record still stands with the track, having been expanded by just over 1/10 of a mile since then. The new Civic set a time of 7 minutes and 44 seconds, the fastest time on the new track layout by a front-driven road car. The car used was completely standard and wore Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 Connect tyres, which are available from Honda dealers. With the Megane RS now off sale, the £49,000 Civic's time looks set to stand for the foreseeable future.
With Jeep busy refreshing its lineup of 4x4s and SUVs, its latest release is one we've been expecting for a while. And despite borrowing its name from a 1970s British saloon car, the new Avenger is a thoroughly modern debut EV. A small SUV taking on the likes of the Vauxhall Mokka and Kia Niro, the Avenger is a very European Jeep, so much so that it will be built in Poland and won't be on sale in North America. So what are the Americans missing out on? Well, the Avenger certainly looks like a Jeep despite its small stature. The new entry point into the Jeep range, it's even smaller than the existing Renegade. The famous vertical slatted grille is mimicked at the front, and the short overhangs are ideal should you ever decide to stray off-road. It's all very chunky and robust looking, just as a Jeep should be. However, things start to get slightly less Jeepy when you look at the powertrain. A petrol-powered version will be available in certain countries, but from launch the UK gets the electric model, and it isn't a 4x4. Instead, power is sent only to the front wheels from a 54 kilowatt-hour battery. Range is competitive enough at 245 miles, although Jeep reckons more is possible if you stay in town. And don't go thinking the Avenger has traded off-road cred for performance. With 154 bhp on tap, the littlest Jeep will hit 62 from a standstill in a steady 9.3 seconds onto a top speed of 93. It might not be the fastest EV out there then, but with its small footprint and high driving position, it's sure to be a hit among urban commuters. Jeep does offer something of a nod towards its 4x4 heritage though. There's a so-called select terrain system, which gives you a selection of driving modes. These range from normal and sport to snow, mud and sand. There are some skid plates underneath too, and decent ground clearance, suggesting a four-wheel drive version will be available in the future. Step inside and the chunky Go Anywhere theme continues. There are plenty of easy-to-operate buttons and the option for body-coloured dashboards. There's loads of storage space too, with numerous cubbies and a decent boot. Another highlight is the new infotainment system. A big 10.25-inch screen sits atop the dash. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are included as standard, and thankfully all climate controls are operated via buttons, not through the screen.
But what else is out there for electric crossover buyers? Well, there's certainly no shortage, and one of our favourites is this, the Kia Niro EV. Now in its second generation, the latest Niro looks better than ever, with a big grille and split headlights. The interior is modern and well made, with even entry-level cars getting plenty of kit. Prices start at around £37,000, and for that you get a 64.8 kWh battery and a WLTP range of up to 285 miles, 40 more than the Jeep Avenger. The best thing about the Niro though is the way it drives. The old car was crashy on bumpy British roads, but the new one soaks them up. The handling is good too, as is the straight line performance. 0 to 62 is dealt with in 7.8 seconds, thanks to the 201 brake horsepower being sent to the front wheels.
This is fast becoming a crowded corner of the market, but the Jeep looks set to have what it takes to cut it versus Kia, Hyundai, Vauxhall and Peugeot. Prices for the launch edition start at £36,500, with petrol versions expected to arrive later this year.
With SUVs now the mainstay of any self-respecting carmaker's lineup, we're now seeing them outnumber the humble saloon. A great example of this is Lexus. Once a dedicated purveyor of four doors, the brand now offers twice the amount of SUV models. The latest one is the new NX. The previous model was Lexus' best-selling car in the UK, so this new one has big shoes to fill. On the face of it, it seems like nothing's really changed. It's still angular and interesting from any angle, but look closely and the updates become clear. Both bumpers have been refreshed, as have the LED lights, but it remains a handsome car, especially when compared to many of the other copycat SUVs we're so used to seeing. It's inside though where the biggest changes have been made. We always like Lexus cabins, and this one is no exception. Fit and finish are outstanding, while the huge new 14-inch infotainment will be a welcome relief after the frustrating system in the old car. Some functions are operated via the screen, but there's still a selection of physical buttons to make things easier while on the move. The new NX sits on the same platform as the Toyota RAV4. As such, the Lexus is available with a variety of hybrid powertrains, including a plug-in. In this guise, the NX produces a little over 300 brake horsepower from its two electric motors and the 2.5-litre petrol motor. Beneath this in the range is the so-called self-charging hybrid 350h. This uses the same engine but operates as a regular series hybrid. It produces 241 bhp, which is plenty in this kind of car.
This is a hotly contested part of the market though, with some seriously impressive rivals. For example, the Audi Q5. Sitting in the middle of Audi's vast SUV lineup, the Q5 is a great compromise between size and practicality, with plenty of space in a relatively compact package. Like all current Audis, the interior is superbly finished, with all models coming loaded with gadgets. However, while no cars in the class are exactly thrilling to drive, the Q5 misses the mark more than most. While there is a performance model on offer, more humble versions lack feel, and its off-road capabilities are, perhaps unsurprisingly, nowhere near those of alternatives from Land Rover. Most people, though, don't actually want to take their 4x4 off-roading, so might they be better off looking elsewhere in the JLR range? The Jaguar F-Pace has recently had a facelift, and it's looking better than ever. As is common for midlife facelifts, the Jag gets the usual array of new lights and tweaked bumpers, but it's underneath the sleek body where the F-Pace really impresses. The new plug-in hybrid 4-pot puts out around 400 horsepower and allows fully electric driving for up to 33 miles. From a standstill, it'll hit 62 in around 5 seconds, so it's more than quick enough to raise a smile.
As impressive as its rivals are, though, we still can't help but admire the Lexus. It gets a great range of electrified powertrains, it's packed full of tech, and perhaps most importantly, it stands out in a sea of forgettable SUVs.
After the break, a Mercedes limo and the new Porsche Cayenne.
Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre. Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre. Still to come, the all-new Porsche Cayenne. First, though, a new SUV from Buick.
Coupe SUVs may normally be reserved for premium European brands, but that hasn't stopped Buick from revealing this, the new Envista. It's a small crossover with a swept-back look designed to stand out from the more humdrum SUVs from elsewhere within General Motors. It's clear, though, that the Envista is very much an urban SUV rather than an off-roader. For starters, it isn't four-wheel drive. Power is sent to the front wheels only from a diminutive 1.2-litre engine producing just 136 brake horsepower. Performance stats are yet to be released, but we'd take a punt and say they won't be especially impressive. Thankfully, though, it is cheap. Prices will start at well under $24,000 when it goes on sale this summer. A decent price for a car this good looking, and it comes with plenty of kit. The interior may be slightly dated and filled with GM plastics, but have a poke around and you'll find an 8-inch digital dash, an 11-inch infotainment screen with all the bells and whistles, and an onboard Wi-Fi hotspot. Interestingly, the Envista is already on sale in China with more power from a bigger engine, so it'll be interesting to see if that makes it over to America. Until then, we expect order books to open soon, with the first customer deliveries by the end of the year.
When it comes to pure opulence and class, British brands Bentley and Rolls-Royce have always been tough to beat. Their current models hark back to bygone eras with tall chrome grilles and bonnet mascots, ostentatious and demure in equal measure. For nearly 2 decades now, though, those looking for a somewhat more discreet top-end limousine have gone for a Mercedes-Maybach, and now there's a new one. Based on the new Mercedes S-Class, a car that was already pretty well appointed, the new Maybach turns everything up to 11. The cabin is brimming with exquisite woods and leather, and the rear seems to have more space than most living rooms thanks to the extended wheelbase. Mercedes expects that most customers will prefer to travel in the back, letting their chauffeur do the hard work, and as such, the rear of the car gets just as much tech as the front. There's a pair of 11.6-inch touchscreens that let you browse the internet and watch TV, allowing you to really relax as you sink into the two reclining chairs that replace the regular S-Class's bench, as you enjoy the various massage functions. But it's not just in the back where this dolled-up S-Class has been upgraded. The front gets all the same impressive tech as the regular car, but it's all surrounded by even posher trim. On the outside, we'll let you make your own minds up about the paint scheme on this car, but it gets a familiar Maybach refresh with an imposing chrome grille, beautiful alloy wheels, and the distinctive Maybach logo on each of the rear pillars. The headlights, bumpers and exhaust pipes have also been tweaked to mark this out as something a bit special to those in the know. Like the regular S-Class, the Maybach is capable of Level 3 autonomous driving using Mercedes' Drive Pilot system. This allows the car to take over the throttle, braking and steering on designated stretches of motorway. However, this doesn't mean your chauffeur can totally sit back and relax. The car constantly monitors the driver with onboard cameras, automatically pulling the car over if they're unresponsive or not paying enough attention to the road. Other tech includes a wonderfully advanced active noise compensation system that works with the Burmester sound system, picking up low-frequency background noise and producing a counter-phase sound wave through the speakers. Under the bonnet is the choice of either a V8 or a V12, both with hybrid assistance and both providing ample performance.
So has Maybach finally beaten the Brits? Well, it's certainly close. This is the all-new Rolls-Royce Ghost, and while it may be the baby of the Rolls range, it's every bit as luxurious as any other model in the lineup. At first glance, you may think that this is just a mild facelift of the old model, but look closer and you begin to notice the changes. This is a brand new car from the ground up, and it is not as similar as you might think. For a start, it's longer and wider than the old model, although the clever styling draws the eye into the tapered front and rear ends, so it isn't obvious. Panel joints have been eliminated wherever possible, and then there's the illuminated front grille. It's still big and shiny, but the spirit of ecstasy now sits on the bonnet, a first for Rolls-Royce. The cabin looks a bit more traditional than the Maybach's, but it is packed full of the latest tech, with everything designed to be easy to operate. Everything you can imagine has been automated, even the doors. The 6 3/4 litre twin-turbo engine is a modified version of the V12 found in the Cullinan. It's bigger than the motor found in the old car, and while power remains unchanged at 563 bhp, peak torque has been increased by 10%.
While both the Maybach and the Ghost offer similar levels of cosseting luxury, they both seem to go about it in slightly different ways. The Rolls-Royce is a bit showier, while the Maybach to most just looks like a big Merc with extra chrome. Both are exquisite, and both are worthy of their enormous price tags.
For years now, the Porsche Cayenne has set the benchmark for performance SUVs, offering the closest thing to a sports car experience in 4x4 form. And while the subjective matter of styling is open to debate, there has never been a bad Cayenne. And now there's a new one. Recently unveiled at the Shanghai Auto Show, the new Cayenne looks almost exactly like the old one. You see, while this is being billed as a brand new car, Porsche decided to thoroughly revise the existing car rather than go to the trouble and expense of developing a whole new platform. An all-new electric Cayenne is on its way, so why bother developing two new models? The 2024 Cayenne is more than just a facelift though. The styling may be similar, but under the skin a lot has changed. The cabin has been completely updated with a breathtaking new dashboard featuring more screens than your local multiplex and enough tech to keep Elon Musk's next spaceship in flight. Under the bonnet there's a new simplified range of engines, with base spec cars and e-hybrid models getting a 3-litre twin-turbo V6. It's the same motor as before, but now with more power. The e-hybrid gets an improved battery and e-motor, now able to travel up to 56 miles on electric power, more than double what the old car could achieve. Next up is the Cayenne S, which has ditched its old V6 in favour of a lovely 4-litre V8, producing 474 bhp and a lot more torque. Sadly though, this will be the top of the range car for the time being here in Europe. The iconic turbo model has been dropped, as have the other high-powered versions. The rest of the world will continue to get the fastest Cayennes, but increasingly strict emissions regulations from the EU has killed them off here. A GTS and hybridised turbo model will return here at some point, but for now at least it seems that the Porsche Cayenne might finally have lost its performance SUV crown.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we bring you coverage from one of London's most exclusive car shows, Salon Privé. Auto Mundial is sponsored by Trade Centre.